Welcome to a Practitioner's Guide to IDI Validation. This program highlights information relevant for practitioners concerning the cross-cultural validity of the IDI. For more detailed information, you may also wish to review published research articles establishing the cross-cultural generalizability of the IDI found on our website at www.idiinventory.com. The IDI is grounded in a comprehensive cross-cultural theory of intercultural competence. The IDI is a cross-culturally valid and reliable assessment of intercultural competence tested across more than 218,000 respondents from a wide range of international and domestic cultures. It is a 50-item questionnaire that comes in an organization and an education version and is available in multiple languages. The IDI generates custom group and individual profile reports, provides an individualized intercultural development plan, IDP, and applies IDI results to goal achievement through IDI-guided development. As an IDI qualified administrator, you should know that the IDI is a scientifically developed measure of intercultural competence and is very different from an opinion survey. Let's look at an opinion survey. First, the subject focus is usually about a specific topic. For example, a public opinion poll or a training evaluation. Second, the learning focus is on differences in opinions among respondents. Third, the validity of an opinion survey is based on what is called face validity. That is, do the survey questions appear to ask about the survey's subject or topic? Fourth, reliability is often not computed for opinion surveys because opinion surveys typically look at answers to single items. Also, opinion surveys usually do not aim to construct scales that measure deeper, more complex constructs. Cultural bias is not typically addressed, rather the focus is on each item's being worded neutrally. Finally, generalizability of an opinion survey's results is typically limited to the group of respondents who completed the opinion survey. Now let's take a look at the IDI and how it differs from an opinion survey. The IDI is a theory reference measure. Therefore, its subject focus is much broader than a specific topic and is described through the intercultural development continuum. The learning focus for the IDI is much broader than simply assessing for differences in opinion. The IDI provides a diagnosis of intercultural competence as described along the intercultural development continuum. The validity testing of the IDI is much more rigorous than simply face validity. The IDI is tested in terms of content, construct, and predictive validity along with testing for transparency or social desirability. That is, whether respondents can figure out how to answer the IDI questions in order to get a better score. Reliability of the IDI is based on establishing scales to measure each of the 5 developmental orientations of denial, polarization, minimization, acceptance, and adaptation. Cultural bias is assessed in the IDI through the multicultural item generation and differential item functioning DIF testing. Finally, generalizability of the IDI is much greater than an opinion survey and includes applicability across cultural groups both domestically within the United States and internationally. There are 3 important implications regarding your use of the IDI. First, using your own personal judgment or criteria to assess the usefulness and validity of the IDI can lead to an inaccurate and perhaps biased evaluation of the appropriateness of the IDI. Second, the IDI is tested based on scientifically agreed-upon criteria that is more rigorous than an individual's face evaluation. Finally, looking at individual items in the IDI to see if they make sense to you is a poor barometer of the IDI, as the items measure deeper, more complex intercultural competence orientations, not more surface opinions. The process for validating the IDI was complex, followed scientifically agreed-upon psychometric protocols over multiple years to achieve cross-cultural validity. This was undertaken over 3 phases. In Phase 1, items were generated through in-depth cross-cultural interviews, pilot testing, expert panel review, and confirmatory factor analysis. In Phase 2, additional item and scale development and testing was undertaken that included the development of the developmental orientation, the perceived orientation, and the orientation gap measures. In Phase 3, Independent additional validation research on over 218,000 culturally diverse respondents was conducted by ACS Ventures, grounded in the American Psychological Association Psychometric Instrument Development Criteria. This included independent, in-depth analytical review of Phase 1 and Phase 2 validity testing, as well as extensive new testing for cultural bias and IDI scale stability. ACS Ventures independently concluded that the IDI is cross-culturally generalizable, that is, for international and domestic diverse cultural groups, valid and reliable measure of intercultural competence that does not contain cultural bias. As an IDI qualified administrator, we have found you may be asked about these questions. First, what outside organizations have evaluated credibility of the IDI? The strong cross-cultural validity of the IDI has been independently supported by the American Council of Education, ACE, the most visible and influential association of higher education in the U.S. In researching 20 intercultural competence assessment tools, ACE concluded by recommending the IDI as one of only 2 assessments that meets their rigorous review process. Also, CTAR Europe in 2009 surveyed its members and found the IDI was identified as the most widely used assessment tool by professionals in the intercultural field. Second, who does the IDI apply to? Items were first administered in 4,763 individuals from 11 distinct cross-cultural samples who completed the IDI in their native language. Additional testing across a wide variety of domestic and international cultural groups was undertaken with over 218,000 individuals. Results demonstrate the generalizability of the IDI across cultural groups. Third, is the IDI biased or transparent? The answer is no. The items selected for the IDI were generated by the responses of the culturally diverse individuals who responded to 122 items representative of each of the 5 developmental orientations. These items were not generated by the researchers. This provides evidence for the content validity of the items and counters possible criticism of systematic cultural bias being introduced by the researchers in the wording of the items. Further rigorous differential item functioning analysis found no cultural bias in the IDI items. Additional analysis also found the IDI is not sensitive to social desirability. That is, respondents are not able to figure out how to get a good answer on the IDI. Fourth, is the IDI accurate? Yes. Construct, content validity, and high reliability confirms that it accurately measures intercultural competence. Fifth, is the IDI predictive of results? Again, the answer is yes. Studies conducted using the IDI reveals that the IDI is predictive of greater success in hiring diverse talent, achievement of study broad outcome including increased knowledge and interest in other cultures, less intercultural anxiety, the development of more intercultural friendships, and higher satisfaction with one's study abroad experience. Also, higher IDI scores predict higher quality interactions with managers as rated by subordinates, increased multicultural activities, and greater recognition and appreciation of differences between oneself and others. Here are some more questions you may be asked about the IDI. I don't agree with the theory the IDI measures, so the results are not applicable to me. One answer may be, the IDC is a well-respected, comprehensive model of how we engage cultural differences. IDI research has consistently validated this model, and the many culturally diverse individuals who have taken the IDI have found great value in their IDI results based on this model. Perhaps the best way to more deeply understand the IDC model is to discuss your IDI results so that greater cultural self and other awareness can result. I don't think the questions in the IDI were correctly translated into my native language. If I took the IDI in English, my results would be different. You might consider responding, the IDI has been rigorously back-translated to ensure both linguistic and conceptual equivalence. That is, the items of the IDI mean the same things in different languages. Professional translators were used for this rigorous task, so you can trust that your IDI results are accurate for you. Your IDI profile would not appreciably change due to taking the IDI in different languages. There are some questions in the IDI that are poorly written or confusing. Is my score really accurate? One answer is, the questions are written in such a way that when you find some are confusing, it is reflecting that you have not fully worked through some of the challenges faced by the mindset and/or skill set associated with that item. I would like to see how I answered each question. You might reply, the items in the IDI are indicators of a more complex experience of cultural differences and cannot be appropriately interpreted in isolation. Rather, multiple items, indicators, comprise different scales which are the core units of interpretation. The IDI profile reports present this information. This is far more rigorous and accurate than reviewing individual items. For this reason, we do not discuss or show individual items and we keep our feedback focused on the information found in the report. How many Greek Americans or other ethnic and/or national cultural groups completed the IDI? I am Greek American, and if you didn't have enough Greek Americans in your sample, how can IDI results be accurate for me? One answer to consider is, the IDI has been validated with a very wide range of culturally diverse individuals, over 218,000 to date, and a wide range of cultural differences in perceptions, feelings, and intentions present in these culturally diverse samples. In addition, the IDI has been separately validated across 11 cultural specific groups and found to demonstrate equally high validity and reliability results. This evidence attests to the cross-cultural generalizability of the IDI and is a valid instrument for you. Practitioners have concerns about the cross-cultural generalizability of the IDI and its usefulness in accomplishing the goals of their school or organization. Most of the questions and topics addressed in this program are important to practitioners for their confidence in the IDI tool. IDI LLC has a long-standing commitment to transparency regarding the development and validation of the Intercultural Development Inventory. For additional information, please see our website, www.idiinventory.com, for a list of publications that provide an in-depth explanation of the extensive IDI validation protocols.